Hi, Ayushi.
So cool. Just like one last time, if you can rename yourselves, if it's possible for you to rename yourselves to also add like your org name, like how Lakanveer and Arushi have done after their name Haq Darshak and how Jacob has done it. It'll be useful for us. If not, also it's fine. I think we can figure out if you have questions later on. So I'll quickly get started with today's vodcast. Sorry, webinar. So this is about auto translations in Flow Editor. Um, this has been like a long time coming feature that in that we always wanted to introduce in the platform. So I'll quickly explain like how it started, where how you can use it, and then like then so that we have more time for question answers later on, and then if you have some of you have already started using it, so if you have any feedback on that, so I'll quickly get started. But before you go ahead, if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand and pause, and then we can take it forward. But yeah, without sparing any more time, we can quickly go ahead. So I'll in this talk I'll quickly share with you guys about how we started, when what was the problem statement that we have identified with the help of the NGOs that use the platform. We'll do a quick showcase of the solution. We'll briefly go into how it works in the backend, because we keeping it agile and we are changing a couple of things, and what to keep in mind as you are using this thing. So we'll give you a quick pointers that you can keep in mind, and then we are open to take inputs, and we would by the end of this thing we are like enabling this for all of you. If you want to start using it, you can sign up and we'll enable it like within the next 15 minutes for your orgs. So I'll quickly go ahead. So the context for this feature about translations, having translation in the Flow editor, this is what we discovered when we were doing the scoping, where we heard from NGOs that translation takes a lot of time in the process of creating flows. So this is where we found out that more than 80% of all Glyphic accounts have more than have multiple languages. So it's a need from about 80 to 90% of all the accounts. And at on average, any one NGO account uses at least three languages. So apart from English, at least two more Indic languages are being used. And this is how this is a snapshot from a couple of months back. The type of languages and the number of languages have changed a little bit, but this will give you a rough idea. Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu are like the top five languages being used apart from English. So with that context, the problem statement was twofold. One is translations, like since all the flows have translations, getting the translations into the flow is a extremely time consuming process. So far what we have learned from how the process works for most NGOs is that they create the flow either in the editor or in the Google Sheets. And then if they want to have it in multiple languages, someone who's working on Glyphic may not have the language expertise. So they have to involve a translator, have the flows, have the content translated. And then either someone does it with a translator or they do it with Google Translate. Google Translate is also pretty difficult. And then at the end, you have to copy paste back into the translations, the other languages part of the flow. And obviously whatever is being translated using any translation engine, these are not conversational in terms of it is a dictionary translation. It may not be very how do you say, it's not bolchal ki bhasha. It's not everyday conversation that you would want your bot to have. So these are the two major problem statements we identified. We have made attempts to give a way so that NGOs can solve both of this. So time can be reduced, and there's a way for you to easily make with a less time, make the language conversational. So with that, I'll quickly go ahead. We have come up with a translation feature. So in your what it will look like is there'll be a translation button. I'll explain into in the next slides what will happen once you basically click or use this thing. But it will translate to all the selected languages in your organization settings. So there's a organization settings page in your settings. There you select the languages, and you can select out of the 22 Indic languages that are there right now. So there are these languages that you can select from. They will appear as these next to default Hindi, English, Bengali, depending on whatever you have selected, it will appear as all these things. So once you click this translation, the feature will allow you to translate in all the languages um, that you have selected. So this at a high level. Now I'll quickly go into the details of this thing. So once you click translate, you get these four options. So I'll give you a minute to like a few seconds to go over these options. These are fairly self-explanatory, but you can go over this thing, and then I'll get into each one of them. Also, just please, while you're taking a time to read, if you can just let me know in the chat if I'm going too fast, if I should slow down, then you can just let me know. But this what will happen if you click translate, you will get these four options: automatic translation, export with auto translate, export translations, and import translations. So what will happen if you click automatic translation and click submit? It will all the nodes, whatever is there in the given flow, will get translated to whatever language you have selected. So in send message node, whatever content is there, it will get translated. Um, cool. Okay, thank you, Clipsy. So we'll quickly go ahead. So second bit is export translations, export with auto translate. So what this does is uh, s- um, it will translate the content as well as it will export to the local system. How this is different from automatic translation is that in automatic translation, the whatever is the translated content, it will also get populated in the flow editor. But with export, once it is translated, it won't directly get auto populated in the flow editor. It will download as a CSV, so that anyone from your team or a language expert can go through the content, make changes if it's needed, proofread, make changes, make it conversational, and upload the CSV so that the translations are in a way more conversational. So that's what export with auto translate does. So this is what the translated exported CSV will look like. So there's a type of node, there's a UUID of that given node which has message content. Then and then there's a language code. So in English, in Marathi, and then whatever language you have selected, it will come up. So if it's translated, then you will get to see all the um all the translations in once you export it. Then if you save it in a Google Drive and you open it as Google Sheets, you can see it in this way. Now you can either directly upload it if you're satisfied with the content, upload it as CSV, or you can change the content to make it if you're not happy with some of the sentences and things like that, then you can change the sentences and then upload the translations. So that way it will then reflect based on what you have translated. So you'll have a help from auto translation, then you can correct it and then upload it. uh, Export translation. So yeah, so once you export translation, then you all you have to do is import translation. So once you import translations, you will get a way for you to kind of like select your CSV and upload it. So exported CSVs after proofreading and correcting translation. That's what import translations does. So so overall, that is how this works. Before I go ahead, like I can maybe take a few questions if there's any questions at this point. If not, you can say like no questions and we can go ahead. If you have questions, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat box. Or if you don't have any questions, you can just click no questions and then we can go ahead. So just quick overview, automatic translation. it will translate and populate in the flow editor directly. Export with auto translate, it will translate, it will download the CSV so that you can look at the CSV and then import the translation. And the export translation is it will not translate, it will not do automatic translations. Whatever is there in your flow, you can just export it. And then if you want to write your own translations or have language experts write in your in some of like in your conversational in the tone that you want your bot to write, you can add those content and then upload it using import translations. So there's three four ways for you to make sure your yeah, sort of the docs are there. uh, you can in product features in flows you can find the docs for this thing as well. Yeah. So we'll quickly go ahead. So basically, how this works is right now we are using the GPT 3.5 as the translation engine. So all the text that you write in nodes, that is converted into strings. Each string is sent for translation. The translations are received back, which have been done by GPT 3.5. And then it is populated back into the node or exported as CSV depending on whatever you have chosen. The way we have built this is, I mean, we quickly got started with GPT 3.5 um, as the model, but we can use plug and play any of the translation models. So future we can right now we are trying to figure out can we give Google Translate as one another option, maybe Bhashini in future if we think that that is doing better in translations. So that's how this thing works in the background. Right now, the translation engine that is being used is GPT 3.5 model of OpenAI. I will again pause over here if you have any questions. If you have questions, just feel free to raise your hand or use the chat box. If not, you can say no questions and we can go ahead. But yeah, OpenAI is being used right now. The service is free because we wanted to quickly test, and Glyfic team had some credits for making all these API calls. So this service is the translation engine thing is free. Hopefully, in moving forward, Google Translate as well as Bhashini is also free. So we do not anticipate as of now any cost being incurred for using this service. Okay, I'll quickly go ahead. So now I'm just going into what are some things must keep in mind as you're using this thing. So yeah, we can share this PPT and this all this information is there in the documents as well, documentation. We can share that link as well. But since we have you here, so it's just better to share it by listening to us. So first is like the biggest thing is it will take time. Uh, as soon as you click translate and as soon as you click submit, it will take time, 2 to 7 minutes, maybe sometimes 10 minutes, depending on how long the flow is. This is happening because each of the node that you have with send message, each of the node is getting sent as a API request to translate and then get back. So it will take some time. So you have to be patient. It's not instantaneous. So just bear that in mind. So if you're seeing this, please wait while the flow is getting translated for some time. So it's doing its job. Second bit is when you are creating the flow and for the translations bit to work. So I'm sure you would have noticed that there is something called as default flow. That is where we write all our content. Most NGOs, we have seen that almost everyone uses English only in the default flow. But there are some organizations that may use some other languages, let's say Hindi or like Kannada. If you know that your the prominent target audience is Indic language and you don't want to create flows in English. So for those folks, it may not work right now. The default flow has to be in English. But as we integrate with Google Translate and other translation engines, even the other languages, the default flow can be in other languages as well, is what is what we are designing for. But right now we have seen that almost all NGOs use the default flow to be English only. So it should not be a big problem. But yeah, keep in mind if it has some other, like if the flow has some multilingual elements, if in the default flow there are some multilingual elements, in which case yes, you will it may not work very well. Like it will not work perfectly because it will be that confused because expecting that this thing would to be in English. Okay, the main point, the third and like I think the bigger point that it would be great if everyone makes a note of right now is at this moment, since it's the first version and we wanted to do a quick release and see what's the uptick like and how useful it is for everyone, only send contact a message node. Whatever is content inside send contact a message, this node will be translated. It will not right now work for interactive messages. It will not work for wait for contact to respond. If you have any validations put in wait for contact to respond, like agreed or other, like you can, as you can see, it will not translate interactive message. It will not translate wait for contact to respond things inside any validations inside that. And obviously, like HSM template, it will not translate. It has to be applied from before and it has to be approved by Meta. So HSM template, anyways, this thing will not work. Before I go ahead, any questions on this bit? So right now in the version 1, we have enabled this for send contact a message nodes only. Eventually, if we think this is working well, then we can introduce this thing in the interactive messages where you create interactive messages in the interactive messages tab. Similar process can be done there so that the time for creating interactive messages and things like that in translated languages is also reduced drastically. Um, but I'll quickly go ahead. Uh, the fourth bit is for flows that have extremely high number of nodes. I mean, we have usually seen that as you can see in the first this thing, majority of the flows have about 20 nodes, about 20 send message nodes. All right, like 38% have 0 to 9 send message nodes, 10 to 90, 27% have about 10 to 19 number of nodes. So, so, so about like 50% or about 60% of the flows have about 20 nodes at max. So for flows which have extremely high number of nodes, as well as within the nodes, if the text message is large, let's say like over 100 or over 100 or 200 words, that's a pretty large chunk of text. In that case, we have observed that like sometimes like it fails, like the API call times out. So so this thing you may keep in mind, like usually it's not a very readable message if it's a very big chunk anyways. So we don't think a lot of, so as you can see, like average number of tokens is like anyways like less than 20. Hardly any NGOs have like nodes which have like a large number of large text messages. But in that case also I will show you how you can use it. So when there's a large number of nodes, large number of languages, large number of this thing, then it doesn't translate everything all at once. In that case, if something doesn't translate, and in that case what we have done is, that's why the exported nodes, exporting the flow was very very important for us to have, so that even if the translations fail, at least there's a way for you to export the flow and then use Google Translate like this, apply formula and like mass translate, or have someone have a translator work on the flows with you, and then you don't have to copy paste. You can just upload the CSV so that that effort of then bringing whatever is there in your Google Sheets into the flow is drastically reduced, which was also one of the major time consuming chunks in creating the translated flows. So this is the bit, and just something to note while you're importing translations. So as you can see, this UUID, this type, the other, like the row 1 2, don't change any formatting, or don't change any, if you don't touch that, just let that be. Just alter the content in this cells after the row 3 and into this thing. It's just hygiene. Like if you don't change it, if you change it, then you might get some error, which will which will prevent it from uploading. So just keep the formatting in mind. Try not Don't change any of these other things. And last bit is just like the way this has been designed is, it assumes that what you're importing, what the flow that the translation that you're importing, you have taken, you have done your diligence that all the things is correct. So suppose you have a trans you suppose you do automatic translations, and you export, and you erase one of the cells. You erase translations one of the cells, and then upload the CSV. So wherever there are empty cells where translation is supposed to be, those, it will assume that the what you have edited, and now whatever is the value that you're uploading, that is the latest value. So just make sure when you're uploading, all the translations are there, all the translations are as per your are proofread and corrected, and whatever you upload, whatever is there in this thing, that will get updated in the flow. um yeah, so that is how that are those are like the major chunks. One thing that I missed sharing is over here. When like so the way we have designed the translation is, if there when there are large number of flows and large number of messages and large number of nodes, what sometimes it may not happen in first shot. So when you auto translate it first time, only let's say 50% of the flow will get translated, and you will see like some of the translated in the translations column, some of the nodes will be empty. So if you click translate again, then the remaining whatever was empty, only those things will get translated. So when you get incomplete translation, just maybe do it one or two more times, so that all the flows get translated, like all the nodes get translated. We had to do this because it was better to have like partial or like incomplete translations of like not all the nodes get translated, instead of like nothing getting translated and API breaking altogether. So if you do, so if you see that your not all the nodes are translated, some nodes are left empty, just do translations once more, repeat the same process. The empty nodes will get translated in that case. Cool. I have covered most things that I wanted to yeah, so we have a question from Sybil. Yeah, it won't translate those things. So you will see where results.name, contact.phone as the same. So that shouldn't affect your yeah, it should appear as the same thing in your translated content as well. But yeah, do keep an eye out. Do this, like we have from the test we have done, it is not changing. But like because it's fairly new, we have not used it so extensively, and this is more like a beta launch. So wherever you see this is changing and things like that. So like the idea here is like you can be slightly mindful and careful about like proofreading the translations, not rely completely on this thing. And we are reaching out. I mean, we are sharing this with everyone as a beta testing. So if you're facing such issues, feel free. I mean, definitely share it with us. So we'd want to kind of like make a note of whenever you're facing such issues, and we'll figure out a way to solve it. Yeah, yeah. So those, I mean, that's what we have seen. It doesn't change in Google Translate, and from a couple of examples that we have done, it doesn't change in our the present system also. But in case it changes, like just like for, I think it'll be good to initially just be mindful of the thing, like just checking those things. Yeah, yeah. Any questions? Any other questions? Um, cool. So, I think if you just share your org name, I mean, if you have joined here, then you're definitely interested in trying this out. That's our assumption. So if you can share your org name, what we can do is like KP, we can enable the thing right away. If it hasn't been enabled already, we'll enable this feature for you right away. So once you log out and log back in, then you should be able to then see in your account this feature. And yeah, like, and we have about like maybe 15-20 more minutes we can take, and if you want to individually test it out and see how it's working, it'll be just a great test to kind of like see, like when parallelly everyone is doing, what's the situation like. Yeah, so Rebenefit Bandhu, I saw Hagdarshak folks here. um if you can maybe just like share your org name, and if you want us to enable this thing, we can make that happen. Meanwhile, like some of the folks that are here, who have already tried it, yeah, if you had any question, if you had any observations from first testing it, like over the last couple of days, yeah, Tashi, go ahead. Like you can feel free to also like share this,
Yeah.
use
Yeah,
this feature.
sure. Hi, Tejas. I can see the feature being activated for tab. And thanks for covering the wait for response in HSMP. My questions was around that. I just two questions. If in case like we have some manually translated content present and we do like translate, so does it get overwritten or it's explicitly for empty nodes only?
Yeah, the way it works is like it writes for empty nodes only.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in one of your experiment, I saw like there was some failure cases like from 15 to 25. So is it like a hard constraint, like keep under 15, like keep your send message notes under 15 in a flow?
No, 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 nothing like that. Nothing like that. But like, I mean, what we have seen is like, if the node content is really big, like if it has more than certain,
Yeah,
like,
100 tokens. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if it's a huge message, in that case, you may have to like only then rest of the things may get translated, and then you may have to do it again. And even then, sometimes it may fail because I think there's like, if a note if a send message text has a lot certain more than 200 words or something like that, if it's a really big thing, then we are seeing that it's consistently failing. In that case, you can export and then import, or like just for that one node you may have to do it manually.
Understood. Understood. Yeah, surely we'll definitely try out and like keep you posted on the it's called the
Yeah,
test.
yeah. Yeah, so
Thank you.
I mean, if you can, whatever you're experiencing, like I know it'll be difficult to kind of like, so to like explain in words, but if you can share screenshots, put it in a doc and things like that, and share maybe over NGO support, or yeah, or maybe definitely over NGO support channel in Discord, that will be very appreciated. Yeah, and we'll try to like yeah, Jacob, you were also present during the sprint, and you had seen it. So, did you spend any time trying it out yet? Any initial observations and things like that?
Oh, I haven't tried it out yet because I didn't know if it had been released, but yeah, we'll slowly try it.
Okay, yeah, maybe you can see in your editor. If it's not there, we'll kind of make sure that it's enabled for you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, Reap Benefit, Antarang Tap,